Hello there, you're watching Space Coast Daily, Brevard's very own community news platform, and I'm Keith Malone, reporting to you from Canaveral's Maritime Centre. Now, that might give you a clue as to who we're about to meet, because on the Daily, we like to meet the people who run the most important organisations in Brevard. So I'm delighted to be sitting down with Captain John Murray, the new CEO, Chief Executive Officer of Canaveral Port Authority, who run Canaveral Port, and you're also the Port Director.
Yes,
welcome, Captain Murray.
Thank
John.
you. Thank you. Delighted to be here.
I know the daily viewers will be delighted to know what you've got to say. So first question.
Absolutely. Fire away.
What's attracted you to this big job of running the port, and how excited are you at the prospect of taking it forward in the coming years?
Well, I'll answer the latter part first. I'm very excited about taking it forward in the coming years. My background has been in ocean transportation for my entire career. I've actually worked on ships. I've been in the break bulk industry. I've been in container ships. I've worked with roll-on, roll-off, and most of my career has been on the cargo side. I do have a little bit of exposure on the passenger side from an insurance perspective on an insurance board that I sat on for 8 years. But what really attracted me to Port Canaveral is I've been in ports all over the world, and this port really is unique. It's unique in many respects. First and foremost, is probably the only port that I've ever been to that gives back to the community. Other ports are purely industrial. They're fenced off. A lot of stuff happens behind the fence. But here, we've got nice things like Jetty Park. We've got the waterfront district with the restaurants. We've got marinas. It's really unique in that respect.
What do you see as the main challenges?
The main challenges right now, in my view, are the port has moved very aggressively to develop new cargo facilities. We've got new customers. We need more customers, and we've done a tremendous amount of upgrades to our cruise terminals. We have two main projects underway right now. We just finished Cruise Terminal 1 last year, which is a great facility that if you haven't been there, it's worth a walk through. It's very, very sophisticated. The biggest challenge, I think, right now is to take a step back, see where we are, what do we need to do going forward, because we've moved very quickly in some areas, and we may be ahead of ourselves a little bit, and I think it's time for a reset and earmark where we want to go in the future. So we're looking at some larger opportunities, not for new business, but just how do we want to grow as a port. As you grow in the port industry and business actually materializes in a favorable manner, you rapidly run out of land. And that's one of my biggest concerns, is we do have a finite amount of space, and I think we need to be very judicious in how we allocate that space for business, recreation, and the cruise side.
Okay, so let's break that down a bit. What priorities would you say you have in the first 6 months, and then a 5-year plan?
First 6 months, I need to understand our organization here, how we function. I also need to get my arms around what contracts we have, existing projects that are underway, and then for the next 5 years, we need to have a longer-term plan as to where we want to be in 5 years. And as one of the reasons I was brought in is my extensive cargo background. Not all cargo is the same. Some brings a better return, is less offensive environmentally, and my goal is to make sure we have the right mix in this port, and that we have the smallest possible environmental footprint while also bringing the highest rate of return in both jobs and revenue to the port.
Now, people who watch Space Coast Daily, they're interested in jobs and prosperity coming from the port. What can you tell us about that?
Port-paying jobs are good-paying jobs, and as we expand in the cargo side, there are positions and jobs out there for people that nobody's even thought of yet, from the trucking side to the consolidation warehousing side to people actually working on the ocean terminal and moving the containers around, container repairs. There's a lot of things that go with a container operation, and we've got a brand new terminal sitting over there ready to go. So one of my goals is to get that up and running with a quality customer in the nearest term possible. We've got one customer now, but they're a small carrier. I think we need to get some of the international players in here.
Where do you stand on transportation issues involving cargo in and out of Port Canaveral? In other words, are you for new methods or sticking with current ways?
You know, every port, and I just had this conversation with some of our people this morning, that every port has different issues, different challenges, and we have a very unique opportunity here because the access and egress from Port Canaveral on the container side is relatively simple compared to other ports that are very complicated.
What would you say your strengths and qualities you bring to this job?
Leadership would be my one strength. I try to and always have succeeded at surrounding myself with good people to get the job done in a fair and efficient manner. And I think that's what we need right now is to do that in this port. I also want to have a reset, so to speak, with the local community. In the last year, we've had some difficult issues and some of the topics we've discussed, and I'd like to take a proactive approach to trying to mend some of those fences and move forward in a collaborative effort with the Brevard County citizens.
You're watching Space Coast Daily, and I'm Keith Malone reporting for you from the Maritime Centre in Canaveral, where we're talking to Captain John Murray, the new CEO of Canaveral Port Authority and the Port Director. So we've learned a little about you, the Port Director here, but what about you, Captain Murray, the new Brevard resident?
I want to know everything. Well, actually, I have only left my previous employer at the end of January, so I'm in a state of transition right now, and my wife and I are looking for a permanent domicile over here in Brevard County, but we're still in the looking stages, so I am a current resident of a local hotel at the moment, and I'd like to move past that as quickly as possible.
So you hope to find a place to live for
Yes.
you and your family, but what do you like to do for leisure, and how do you reckon that Brevard will suit you?
Well, I have one bad habit, and that is that I enjoy fishing. And I've been in the west coast of Florida for the last 22 years, and nothing against the fishing there, but it's always better on the east coast. So I'm looking forward to the offshore fishing here, very much so.
There's a lot of leisure and entertainment here at Port Canaveral, isn't there?
We have a lot in our recreation sector, and we've got restaurants, we've got marinas, we've got the jetty park. So this, like I said in a prior comment, it's one of the best, most unique ports in that respect. That most ports don't have those types of facilities available for their local citizens.
Would you like to expand that, given the space?
I'm going to take a pause on that because I don't want to commit to anything right now until I have an assessment of what we have. I think we have plenty of wonderful features, and I think we have to be careful on what we expand at this point in time until we really know what we want to be. I think Port Canaveral needs to become a global player in the international trade, and I think we're properly positioned both geographically and our physical facilities are well positioned to grow, and I'm looking forward to leading in that direction.
Final question, where do you see the port in 10 years' time?
I believe that Florida, being the growing economy it is, it's one of the fastest growing states in the U.S., and I believe that the growth that we're going to experience in the next few years in the I-4 corridor is going to be exponential. A big thing that needs to evolve is much of the distribution center network on the I-4 corridor today is sub-centers from other destinations, international destinations such as Atlanta, Memphis, Houston, the West Coast. What I think we need to do, and where I'd like to see the port evolve, is that we are a direct gateway into the Central Florida, and that's going to need some changes on the customer side, on the importers. We need to be importing directly into Florida instead of coming through other states. And that's some work that we're going to have to do, not only here on the local level, but in Tallahassee and perhaps in Washington to make that happen. But as the population shifts to the northern part of Florida from the southeast U.S., I see great opportunity there. And I think in 10 years, this will be, you'll be surprised at how much different it will look here.
Well, Captain John Murray, thank you so much for speaking
Thank
to
you.
Space Coast Daily. I know that viewers will be very interested to hear what you've got to say.
Great.
Very good luck in your
Thank
new
you.
job. And the doors of Space Coast Daily will always be open to you.
Thank you very much.
Keep bringing us the news from Port Canaveral.